Hey, I'm Daniel. Before I get into the mess with my living situation, make sure to like and subscribe to stay in the loop for more stories like this. Living in one half of a duplex might seem convenient, especially when your landlords are your own parents. But trust me, it's not as cozy as it sounds. I'm Daniel, a software engineer, and I've been grinding away at my job, pushing code and beating deadlines. My hard work paid off, and I landed a hefty promotion. You'd think that would be a good thing, right? Well, that's when things took a turn. On the other side of the duplex lives my sister Lucy, sweet enough, but she hasn't held a job in, well, forever. And yet, she stays rent-free, no questions asked. The day I got my promotion, I was still buzzing from the news when I had dinner at my parents' place. So, Daniel, your mom and I have been talking. My dad started, passing me the mashed potatoes like it was just another casual chat about the weather. Aha, I said, waiting for the news as I forked a heap of potatoes. With this new promotion, we think it's fair if you start paying double the rent you've been paying. It'll help cover more of the household expenses. I nearly choked. Double? Just because I got a raise? My mom chimed in, wiping her hands on her apron. It's only fair, honey. You're making more, and we figured you wouldn't mind contributing a bit more to the house. A bit more? It felt like they wanted me to fund the entire household. What about Lucy? I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. Is she going to start paying rent too? That's different, Daniel, Dad said, his tone final. Lucy's situation isn't as stable as yours. Stable. Right, because working hard and earning your keep apparently makes you a prime candidate for family exploitation. The rest of the dinner blurred by in frustration. I retreated to my side of the duplex, my mind racing. The walls, which I'd once found charmingly thin, now felt suffocating. A couple of days later, Lucy dropped by. Hey, I heard about the rent hike, she said, leaning on my kitchen counter as I brewed some coffee. That sucks, but I mean, can't you afford it? It's not about affording it, I replied, handing her a mug. Don't you think it's unfair that you live rent-free while I'm supposed to pay double just because I got a raise? Lucy shrugged, a little too nonchalantly. I guess, but what can you do? They're our parents. What can you do? I thought about that a lot. Was I just supposed to accept this because they were family? The whole situation felt like a slap in the face for trying to be successful. One evening, I decided to talk to them again. I invited them over, hoping to make them see reason. I've been thinking about this whole rent situation. I began once we'd all settled in the living room with cups of tea. We appreciate you being understanding, Mom said with a smile. Understanding? More like being walked over. Actually, I don't think I am understanding, I countered. Why should I be penalized for being successful? And why isn't Lucy expected to contribute? Dad's eyebrows shot up. Penalized? Son, we thought you'd be proud to help out more. I am proud to help, but not at the expense of fairness. This arrangement doesn't make sense. They exchanged looks, the kind that told me this conversation was over before it even started. Well, think about what you said, Dad finally offered, but his non-committal tone said it all. I was left to stew in my thoughts, the weight of family expectations bearing down on me. How was I going to navigate this without burning bridges? Or was it time to stand my ground, even if it meant shaking up our family dynamics? As I turned these thoughts over, I realized that sometimes standing up for yourself is hardest when it's against the people you love. But maybe it was time they saw me not just as a successful son, but as someone worthy of the same respect and fairness they showed my sister. Daniel, why can't you just accept it? You've got the money, Lucy said, her words grating on me as we sat across from each other at the small kitchen table. It was late, but this conversation couldn't wait. Lucy, it's not about the money. It's about fairness. You live here for free, while I'm supposed to just fork over twice what I used to pay because I got a promotion. But you're doing so well, and I'm still figuring things out. Figuring things out. I'd heard that excuse for years, ever since Lucy dropped out of college, yet nothing ever seemed to get figured out. Not that our parents ever pushed her. It doesn't look like you're trying very hard to figure it out, Lucy. When was the last time you even looked for a job? She fiddled with the edge of a coaster, avoiding my eyes. I don't know. Jobs are tough, Daniel. Not everyone's cut out for the grind. The grind? I echoed, exasperated. Not asking you to launch a startup, just to contribute something, anything. She sighed, a familiar sound of retreat. Maybe you're right. Maybe I could help out a bit more around here. Around here? I shook my head. No, Lucy. By getting a job, by paying rent, by showing our parents you're not just waiting for handouts. She finally looked up, her expression a mix of annoyance and shock. You really think they'd ask me for rent? They should, I said firmly. It's only fair. Why should I be the only one burdened because I'm responsible? Because you can handle it, Daniel. I'm not like you. I don't have things figured out. You never will if you keep avoiding responsibility like this. We glared at each other, the tension thick between us. Our parents had always played favorites, but this was getting ridiculous. I stood up, my chair scraping back loudly. I'm not going to keep being the only one who pays. It's not right, and you know it. Where's this coming from all of a sudden? Because of a little extra rent. A little extra. Lucy, it's double. And it's not just about the money, it's about how they treat us. You get everything on a silver platter, while I have to earn every crumb. She stood too, her face hardening. Maybe if you weren't so uptight about everything, they'd cut you some slack. Cut me some slack. I laughed bitter. I don't need slack, I need equity. I'm going to talk to them, Lucy. This isn't over. She rolled her eyes. Good luck with that, Daniel. They're not going to change, and neither am I. As she stormed out, I knew this was only the beginning. I needed a plan, something to make our parents see the imbalance they'd nurtured for so long. This wasn't just about rent, it was about respect and being valued equally. I was determined to fight for it, no matter what it took. The next morning, I carefully laid out several papers on the kitchen table, utility bills, financial statements, all under the warm sunlight streaming through the window. Lucy eyed the paperwork with suspicion as she sipped her coffee. Daniel, what are you doing with all that? Just checking some numbers, making sure everything adds up. You'd be surprised how often it doesn't. I handed her a sheet showing discrepancies in how expenses were shared. Look at this. I'm paying way more than half, Lucy, and I don't even use more than you do. She scanned the document, her brow furrowing. I had no idea. And that's just the start. Look at this. I handed her another paper, a breakdown of maintenance expenses, again unfairly distributed. There's a pattern here, Lucy, and it's not just about us. It's about how they're managing everything. Lucy was silent for a long moment, the realization dawning on her. So, what are you saying? I'm saying maybe it's time we both stood up for a fair deal, and that starts with you getting a job. Her eyes widened. Me? Where would I even start? Yeah, you. Look, I found some job listings that might suit you. I slid a printed list across to her. Barista, bookstore clerk, receptionist, entry-level stuff. But it's a start. She looked at the list, then back at me, with a mix of apprehension and something like respect. You think I can do this? I know you can, Lucy. You just need to try. Show them you're capable, and maybe they'll see things need to change. For the next few weeks, I helped Lucy prep for interviews, redo her resume, and even practice answering typical job questions. It was strange being in this role with her, but it felt like we were finally on the same page. Meanwhile, I kept collecting evidence, every receipt, every bill. I even started a spreadsheet documenting everything in excruciating detail. It was tedious but necessary. If I was going to confront our parents, I needed indisputable proof. The day Lucy landed a job at a local cafe, I felt a twinge of pride and relief. She came home with a bounce in her step that I hadn't seen in years. I got it, Daniel. I actually got it. That's amazing, Lucy. See? I told you could do it. She grinned, and for a moment, it felt like we weren't just siblings at odds, but allies. So what's the next step? She asked. Now we sit down with them together. We lay it all out, the job, the finances, everything. She nodded, her expression serious. Let's do it. That evening we gathered in the living room, the air thick with anticipation. Our parents looked confused, perhaps a little worried, as we presented our findings. Mom, Dad, we need to talk about the rent and the bills, and about treating us fairly. I laid out the papers, each one a silent testament to the skewed balance that had governed our lives for too long. Lucy sat beside me, her presence a show of support. I hadn't expected Lucy's support, but I was grateful for it as our parents listened, brows furrowed. This was a turning point. Whatever came next, we had sparked a conversation that was long overdue. And with Lucy now working, and the evidence laid bare, things had to change. The living room felt more like a boardroom as I laid out the last of my documents on the coffee table. Beside me, Lucy shifted nervously in her chair, her hands clasped tightly in her lap. Across from us, Mom and Dad looked on, a mix of curiosity and concern etched into their faces. Mom, Dad, we've brought you here because we need to address something important, the way things have been handled financially in this house. I began pointing to the spreadsheets and bills spread out before them. Here, you can see a detailed record of the past year's expenses. Notice the disparity in how utilities and maintenance costs have been divided. As they leaned in to examine the documents, I continued, Lucy and I have had very different financial responsibilities in this house, despite occupying similar spaces. And with my recent promotion, the increase in rent I've been asked to pay isn't justifiable, especially now that Lucy is also employed. Lucy chimed in, her voice steadier than I expected. I've got a job now, and I'm ready to start contributing financially. It's only fair that we reassess how we handle expenses around here. Mom's eyes flicked between the papers and us, a frown forming. We didn't realize the impact this was having on you, Daniel. Dad nodded, taking a deep breath. We thought we were doing what was best for the family. Lucy needed support, and Daniel, you were in a position to help. That's true, I acknowledge, but supporting family shouldn't come at the expense of fairness. The burden has been disproportionately on me, and now that Lucy is capable, it's time we even things out. I then laid out a new proposal, a split that considered both our incomes and was proportional to our usage of resources in the duplex. This way, we all contribute our fair share. It's transparent, it's equitable, and it reflects our current financial situations. The room was silent for a moment as our parents absorbed the information. Then Dad spoke up, you're right. We let our concern for Lucy cloud our judgment. It wasn't fair to you, Daniel. Mom reached across the table, her hand touching mine. We're sorry, honey. We just wanted to make sure Lucy was okay. But we see now that we weren't being fair to you. I squeezed her hand, feeling a weight lift from my shoulders. Thanks, Mom. I appreciate that. All I want is for us to feel like we're all being treated equally. Lucy added, and I'm going to make sure I pull my weight. It's time I step up and show that I can handle more responsibility. We'll implement these changes immediately, Dad declared, looking at the proposed numbers. And going forward, let's keep this dialogue open. If there's an issue, we talk about it as a family. The meeting ended with a sense of closure and a plan for moving forward that we all agreed on. As we tidied up the papers, Lucy leaned over and whispered, Thanks for pushing for this, Daniel. It feels good to be part of the team. It was more than just about money, it was about respect and recognition within our family. As we walked back to our respective sides of the duplex, I felt a genuine hope that things between all of us, were finally on the right track. The fairness of the situation had been restored, and with it the balance within our family began to mend. The story of Daniel and Lucy has just wrapped up, highlighting how important fairness and communication are within a family. Now I want to hear from you. Have you ever felt unfairly treated by your family because of financial issues? How did you handle it, and what was the outcome? Please share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. It's a great way to connect and learn from each other's stories. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more thought-provoking content like this. Your support helps keep these stories coming.